Well, I'll start out by just, addressing the obvious. It's been a tough 24 hours for me personally and my family with the passing of my mother, and that's never easy no matter how old you get. So it's been quite challenging. But I do want to say there was, on an encouraging note, it was really good to hear from so many great Auburn people that were very supportive and people outside the Auburn family as well. And it was very encouraging to hear the different thoughts and prayers that went out for me personally and my personal family. But we're going to, and I appreciate everybody respecting the privacy of that. It's again, it's tough. We're going to have a private ceremony, private family ceremony at some point moving down the road, not necessarily this week, but I want to get that off the plate because I'd like to make this more about Auburn football and playing Texas A&M and kind of moving forward into that. But again, I do want to say thank you to a lot of people out there that were very good to myself and my family. But we got a great week of football coming up this weekend, and it's Military Appreciation Week. I'll start out by saying that, which I have a very high regard for past and present military people that have put their life on the line a lot previously, and several thousands that are obviously still doing that. And I got a high level of appreciation for that. So I want to really encourage everybody to come out. And I think we even have the Wounded Warriors at the coin toss, I believe, if I'm correct on that. So I think that's going to be a great day. So we got a great football team that we got to play. And it's going to be a great challenge for us. Obviously this is a very, very good football team. They've lost 2 football games against 2 top 5 teams, and those are the 2 games that they've lost. So they're very good. They're playing with a lot of confidence. Played a close game against LSU last week, and explosive, as everybody knows, very explosive offensively. And so we got our challenges there with containing their quarterback and their running game, and they lead the league in just about every category offensively there is. There are at least 1 or 2 probably in just about all the most important categories. Defensively, again, they're very aggressive. They have an elaborate scheme defensively that allows them to be very productive in terms of negative plays. And so we got our work cut out for us, but we're looking forward to the challenge. It's another great opportunity for us to get out there and try to improve Saturday, and it's great to be home at Jordan-Hare for the next month, and this will be a great start to that month. So we're looking forward to it, and be a great challenge for us.
Gene, how is their version of the spread or whatever? Is it different than others?
It's a little bit probably different than some, Philip. It's a very tempo-oriented attack, number one, and I think that becomes very problematic. If you look at their games, they can run anywhere from 75 to 105 plays in a game. We're in that area. So the tempo and the speed of their game is very critical in teams being able to line up and get their defense set. So that limits you a little bit. If the speed and the tempo is very quick, that limits you a little bit in terms of how complex you can be, because the name of the game is to get to the quarterback. But as we know, their quarterback is very athletic, and he's the leading rusher on their team. So he escapes, and they have designed runs for him as well. And so it's a tough scheme, but they spread it out with the receivers with a lot of 3-by-1 formations, empty formations. They're very good at throwing the ball down the field. They've got an offensive line that they're very, very effective when it comes to protecting the quarterback. They got a lot of experience there, and and then of course the quarterback does so much with his feet, being very elusive and extending plays. So all the way around, there's a reason they're where they are in our league in terms of productivity. But it's and again, there's a lot of versions of the spread offense, but theirs is just, theirs is very well run, it's very well coached, and they got some players in the offense that are very productive.
You've seen this offense, or at least an offense that runs everything through the quarterback. Obviously, 2010, you guys have that. How important is it to have a quarterback? And the fact that Manziel's so young to be that, I guess, mature in the way he runs the offense. How hard is that? And I guess two parts. How good is he, and how hard is that to stop him?
He's very good. He's a young guy that really is very mature beyond his years. If you just watch his film, he's got really an uncanny ability to just get a feel for the game and the pass rush, and just, he sees things, and he's got just great vision, for the field. He's got great vision for the field, and he extends plays. I've counted back there sometimes when he stood back there for 10 seconds before he ever made a move. That's a long time for a quarterback. And so that says a lot about his offensive line. And then, he's got opportunities to, make some things happen, extending plays with his feet, making decisions down the field. So, he's very productive, and he's very good. They help him a good bit with getting him into the right plays, obviously, which takes a lot off of a young quarterback. So, all those things combined, I think that's why you're seeing this offense, being, pretty high octane.
Going back to LSU week, a lot of your defenders talked about embracing that moment and that stage. Could this be a similar situation night game against an offense like Auburn?
Absolutely. I think it's a tremendous challenge for our defensive guys, and I think it's one that they're really going to embrace. The LSU game was a very challenging game for the obvious reasons, and this is really the same way. Two different types of teams, the same type of challenge. And again, I think it's going to be a great night venue, and it's going to be a fun game to play for our defense. They got to go out there and they got to execute. They got to get lined up, and they got to play with a lot of intensity and passion. And again, this game could be, depending on how you play on defense, a 75-play game or a 105-play game, depending on whether you can get off the field or not.
You mentioned the tempo in their spread the past couple of weeks, especially last week. Both you and Brian Van Gorder mentioned tempo being a problem, especially in those game-opening drives, those drives at the end of the half, opening the second half. What do you have to do differently, especially against a team who's going to look to do this possibly all game long?
Yeah, all game. It's definitely a challenge in practice to be able to get this done, but we feel like we've got a really good plan for it. A little bit different than some of the other plans, simply because you could get it all game. And so the way we're going to approach it is being able to two-huddle, do some two-huddle practices continuously through practice. The goal is, and again, when we've played these high-tempo offenses that can potentially get a play off anywhere from 13 to 17 seconds after the ball's tackled, you've got to try to emulate that the best you can in practice. So we've definitely got a plan to do that.
Does that add to the difficulty for a guy like Casanova, who obviously made his first start last week, and you said that you expect him to be there again this week? Does this present an even bigger challenge and responsibility for him when there are that many more plays?
Yeah, I think that it really, without singling out any one particular player, I think it presents a challenge for everybody, particularly in the secondary. Because what you see is that if you're not lined up properly in the secondary, against a team that will throw the ball vertically down the field so much, that's where you see guys running wide open. And that is obviously potential for big plays, but, I think that it's a challenge for everybody, not just young guys that haven't played a lot, but are playing more. It's certainly going to be challenging for them, but it's really, it's going to be on everybody.